Welcome to Q&A with Qlik. Today we're going to be talking about Qlik Talend Cloud data integration. I want to quickly introduce myself. My name's Troy Rainey. I help put together webinars and helpful videos like this one. We've got a fantastic expert panel for you today. I'll quickly pass around and let everyone introduce themselves. Antoine, why don't we start with you?
Hi, everybody. I'm Antoine. I'm a product manager working on Qlik Talend Cloud pipelines and Qlik Open Lakehouse.
Thanks. Ola?
Hey, I'm Ola Meyer. I'm also product manager focusing on data movement and data sources and specifically in the cloud.
Great. Ben?
Hi, I'm Ben. I'm a principal support engineer and one of the SMEs for Qlik Talent Cloud Pipelines.
Thank you. And Bill?
Hi, folks. Bill Steinagel, also a principal engineer. I focus mainly on SAP and the data movement gateway.
Fantastic. Shashi?
Hi everyone. I'm a master principal engineer in Qlik. I've been with Qlik from 2021. I'm an SME in on-prem Qlik Replicate, Qlik Compose, and also Qlik Talent Cloud. Happy to be here. Please bring your topic questions.
Thanks so much. Got a couple subject matter experts, that's for sure. And Tony?
Hi, I'm Tony. I'm a senior support engineer. I primarily focus on Talend Enterprise Service Bus, on-prem and cloud.
Great. Thank you, everybody. Well, when you registered, you had an opportunity to submit some questions ahead of time, so we've got a few of those we're going to start with. First question. I'm getting a single empty row when querying SAP HANA database, despite being able to connect from Qlik Talend Cloud. Any ideas how to troubleshoot?
Yeah, I can take that one. So depending on the connection, if you're going through QTC, it's going to go through the data movement gateway. So if you connect via ODBC to the same HANA system and you have the right schema table, I would verify that first and then try to rerun your query. If not, you can open a support request.
Okay, great.
Yep.
Next question. How do I parse a Parquet file in an S3 bucket? Any documentation links would be helpful.
Can I take this one? So at the end of the day, we support any target with our S3 source. So let's say if you target a SQL server, the data will be automatically translated into the tables and loaded into the SQL tables. So from there, you can run any types of transformations, merges, create stores, and carry the data all the way to analytics. So it really depends what you want to do with the data. Just simply movement between source and destination of your choice, and from there you can use any tools provided in our platform. Start from documentation. If you're looking into documentation, I will share it with Troy. Just look at the building your pipelines. You scroll a little bit down, Troy. Designing your pipeline project. So it's like, first of all, you start with creating the connection to S3, selecting the Parquet type source. And from there, once you created the connection, you need to decide what type of project, if you're just replicating data or you're building a more sophisticated pipeline, or Antoine, we can run data into lake landing too, open lake house. So all these options are available for you for just from a single source.
That's great. And I'll post that link just to get you started. Great. Thank you for that. Next question. Or does anybody want to add anything to that? No? All right. Next question. I'm using data pipeline projects to replicate data from Oracle to Snowflake via S3. When a table is truncated in the source Oracle database, how can I restore the Snowflake current table to match the source data without using a replication project? This is a customer requirement.
Yeah, I can take that one. I do think we need a little bit more information for this particular use case. I know what I did check was that when you do truncate your source table, it's not going to be picked up in like standard CDC since it's not a DML command. But if you reload, it will pick up, the changes you've made, which is obviously truncating. And then if you are adding any new records to the source table, I did find a little bit of an issue with the current table that the timestamp seems to get modified to a sort of unhelpful value, and then only new records will show the original value. But we need to know a little bit more about what kind of restoration like you're looking for this scenario. So I
Okay.
definitely recommend reaching out to support if this is something that's an issue for you.
Yeah, that sounds like a great tip. Thank you for addressing that. So if
Also, I could add, if the problem is located on the source side of things in the Oracle, you could also restore a backup on your source side, right?
hmm,
And maybe that will do the work. I don't know. As Ben said, we need to learn more about the issue to provide the right guidance here.
okay. Well, if you create a support case, we can take a closer look at that. But great. Next question. How can I add a new table to an existing landing and storage task in a data pipeline project? Who wants to address that one?
I can take that too. So if you're just adding basically new tables from your source that you want in your task, the standard approach would just be to stop the task, go to select source data, and find your new table, then prepare the task and resume it. You don't have to recreate or reset anything. I also recommend like if you have standard naming conventions for your tables, like maybe everything starts with like I don't know, MT underscore table names. You can you can include the pattern in your select source data so that new tables get picked up, and then you would just have to re-prepare and continue to run it.
Great. That sounds relatively easy. Great, thank you. Next question. Once I create a pipeline project running on a lake landing task from Oracle to S3, the data platform Snowflake, will the landing data just keep getting bigger and bigger?
That's a good question. Do you want to take it, Ben, or should I?
You can go ahead. It seems like you know
Okay.
a little bit more of a recommendation.
Yeah, right. So the lake landing task right now doesn't include like a retention mechanism or a purge mechanism built in, right? What we recommend customers to do is go on their S3 bucket settings and then set up a lifecycle rule. So you can configure a lifecycle for your data on specific S3 buckets or following specific file patterns. For example, you can ask to delete files that are older than 7 days, and the S3 automatically, lifecycle policy will take care of that.
That
In
sounds
addition to that,
great.
this is also something that we are considering to add to the product later on. That's part of the roadmap. Maybe we want to make that easier for customers, for you, and just check a checkbox, provide, I want to keep my data for 7 days, for 30 days, and so on, and we'll take care of it for you. So that's in consideration in our roadmap as well. But right now, if you want to do that right now, go ahead and set up an S3 lifecycle rule.
Perfect. Great. Next question. Is external stage for Snowflake Target supported in Qlik Talend Cloud Data Integration?
Yes for data pipeline projects and no for replication projects. So when you're setting up your
Okay.
pipeline project, you can select cloud storage if you want. And we have it can be S3, ADLS, or Google Cloud Storage. But it seems that for replication projects, that's not an option we have available. So definitely recommend submitting an ideation feature request if that's
Okay.
something you need for replication.
And since we brought that up, we're talking about on Qlik Community under support, you can find the ideation page. This is where we collect and allow everybody who's a Qlik customer partner to browse suggestions for feature improvements and also vote on existing ones or submit new feature requests. And it's a great area to suggest changes and improvements like that. I'll just post the link to make it easier for you to find. Next question. Is it possible to connect to Facebook Insights data? Someone's getting a feature unavailable error.
Yeah. So as Ben already, so right now what we have on our roadmap in later this year to support for Facebook ads, which is the paid version of the API for advertisement in Meta API stack. The question here maybe for the customer is specifically, are you looking actually at Facebook? Do you need support for Facebook ads or the insights? What is the use case? And if you still want the insights, then please submit an ideation request. But I would like greatly to understand the use case and what type of the APIs are really needed from Facebook to be supported.
Okay, great.
Yeah, just to add a little bit, I did notice that on the analytics side, we do have a Facebook Insights connector that appears to be getting or already is deprecated. So I'm just wondering if maybe there's some confusion on that part. But what Ola said, it applies to the data integration side, not analytics.
Okay. Yeah, we've got connectors on both sides, so sometimes it can be confusing for sure.
Yeah.
Next question. I'm experiencing an issue where some Talend jobs that normally start immediately get stuck for 2 minutes in a waiting to start. I've been resolving this by restarting the RE service. Then they start immediately as expected. Any ideas on why this is happening?
I can take this one. So this could be because the remote engine becomes unavailable. By default, you can start up to 3 tasks at the same time, but this setting can be changed. In one of the configuration files, there's a parameter called maximum number of concurrent runs. You can set that to a higher limit, depending on resources, or you can set it to 0 for no limit, and then monitor the resources. But if you wanted to get into the specifics, the best place to look at would be the logs, either the CARAF logs or the execution logs from the TMC test, and then raising a support case if needed. We can look into more details that way.
And you provided me a link. So this is the setting you were talking about?
Yes, if you scroll down, there should be the second one, I believe, in the chart. I skipped over.
Remote engine. Oh, maximum
right there, yes. Maximum number of concurrent runs. This is the first place I would look to make sure this default setting is either raised up. In the logs, there should be a message about the limit being hit, 3 out of 3, something like that.
Great. Thank you for finding that. Next question. Some clarification on the functional overlap of Qlik Talend Cloud and Qlik Analytics. When to use which would be appreciated.
I can try to answer that as a wide question. I can start and maybe somebody else can add to what I will answer, right? So the Qlik portfolio is quite large, quite wide, right? But basically what we aim to do is take your raw data from your systems that you could be using in your enterprise and transform that into insight, into data that you can use to make decisions and so on, right? So you can think at the Qlik Talend Cloud part and the Qlik Analytics part as kind of the upstream layer and the downstream layer. The Qlik Talend Cloud part is the data engineering layer, right? It is where we move data from your source system. Let's say we ingest it into your data warehouse or lakehouse of choice, transform the data, we clean it, we prepare it, we reshape it so that it's ready to use for your analytics use case, right? And then you will jump into Qlik Analytics. This is the data inside the consumption layer, right? This is where you would visualize, explore data, create dashboard, use your or AI assistants like Qlik Answers and so on to get insights on your data, right? So the key, let's say the key mental model is Qlik Talend Cloud is upstream. It's for ingesting raw data and turning it into ready to use data, business ready data. And then we have the analytics suite of tools to analyze it, to dig into it and get useful insights.
So
Hopefully
on
that's
that,
helpful.
that's very helpful. It's sometimes difficult to discuss the end-to-end portfolio that Qlik offers, but so would you say that kind of business ready data is the differentiator there? Like if you have some business ready data, maybe you can just load it directly from analytics side.
Yeah, yeah, I would say that.
Cool.
Yeah. And typically, in terms of who the user is, we are talking about like typically data engineers and all the variants of it on the left side of the thing, on the Qlik Talend Cloud part, and more like business analysts on the right side of things, right? So yeah, in the middle is data is ready to be consumed, to be used by the business, I would say.
That's great. Thank you. Anybody else want to add anything there? That felt like a pretty good summary.
From the connectivity point of view, I know can be some confusion if we're talking about capabilities overlap. So it's not exactly as Antoine said. If you have data already ready for analytic use, you can load this data directly from the connector using the analytics connectors. But if you need to do some data preparation, getting data ready for analytics, do transformation, merging multiple data sources, this is where the QTC kind of shines, helps you to collect all the data, get it ready for analytics for AI, and then it can hand it over to start doing the analytics or AI analysis.
Yeah, and speaking of AI, our next question is about that, and I know it's all about getting your data as clean and prepared for AI as possible. So I'll just move on to the next question. What is the strategic vision for AI with Talend? And there's an additional follow-up to that. Is it possible to leverage AI to migrate from an on-prem environment to the cloud?
I can try to answer this one. I know we have some new AI components in Talend Studio. It can leverage tools like Cloud, Gemini, OpenAI. And as for migrating from on-prem to cloud, we have the Qlik Talend Cloud Migration Toolkits. That is meant to migrate from on-prem to cloud and perhaps in future versions, on-prem to a newer version of on-prem. And I believe it can also migrate some Qlik products as well.
Yeah. You might have a quick link to the migration center.
Let me share this one.
Oh, there it is. So if you're migrating to analytics, to Talend Cloud community, there's a lot of options here, a lot of resources. But there's definitely some toolkits like you were talking about, the Qlik Talend Cloud Migration Toolkit. I'll just provide the link to this main area.
Also, something I could add regarding the vision for AI, right? So the question was specifically on Talend Studio, right? But across the whole platform, we are actively investing on building AI capabilities. That surfaces as as your kind of standard chat window where you would converse with an AI agent, and this we are like adding the capability to the agents to really do the hard part or the tedious task of the job, right? So, for example, you will be able to ask an agent to connect to your Oracle source data and move that data to Snowflake. It will create a pipeline for you, that you can then adjust to your and fine tune. But we are developing agents like that across the platform to help accelerate, the boring, repetitive work here.
It's very exciting. Great. Next question. What is the reason for the 5-minute trigger limit? Is anyone familiar with that? I'm not
But
quite
the
sure.
question is in what like this is really missing information.
Yeah,
In
I'm not
what
quite sure in what context. That's why I thought maybe someone would be familiar with the trigger limit that they're referring to. If you could just provide some context and maybe we can circle back to that one. I'll move on to the next question. I want to use the Claude AI component or IA component. Why I don't find it in the version VR 2026-03.
I could take this one. I was just looking up some more information about components.
Okay.
And this is a feature that has to be enabled in Studio. So in Studio, there's a tool called Feature Manager. If you'll expand the data integration components section, there's the cloud, embedding AI, Gemini. So once these features are enabled, you should see it on your list of components.
Fantastic. Great. And we got a little more context. So the reason for the 5-minute trigger limit, we're talking about TMC, Talent Management Console.
I'm not familiar with the limits. Maybe I just haven't worked a case on the topic yet. So the best thing to do maybe to open a support case for this one.
Sure. Yeah, we'd love to take a closer look at that. I'm speaking for Tony now, but because that might fall on you. But yeah, I guess we need a little more detail. Okay. And these are all great questions. We really appreciate them. We love this interaction. So please submit your questions now. Last question we have in the list at the moment, we are using the Data Vault 2.0 architecture for our data platform. Is there any specific support for this model for ensuring proper hubs, links, and satellite tables? Or is there a plugin architecture in Talent Cloud that could support a plugin for this? Data Vault 2.0?
So in Qlik Talend Cloud Pipelines, we don't have a built-in support for Data Vault 2.0. That's something you could build on your own using SQL transformation. So we give you capabilities to write your own SQL queries that we can automate. We can handle incremental processing with that. That's still some work you need to do, right? So I would suggest, if you want us to consider like a plugin or helpers to create a Data Vault 2.0, to create an ideation that we can look into that deeper.
Great. And we got one more. Great. It's a follow-up regarding the AI components. Do we require a specific license to use them? Great question.
So I want to say the licenses are part of the third-party user agreements.
It depends on the product first that we're talking about, right? Like with
Right. I know with Talend components, when you download a jar file or any other dependency, a lot of the times it has the user actually read through the agreement and click accept on each one. But as far as licensing goes, maybe there could be a limit if it's a free version or if it's a paid version. I'm not entirely sure how the product side works, but we can definitely get more details if we ask our product team. So opening a new case for us to reach out to the product team would be a good step in getting that answer.
So there
So,
was a
so
little bit of
one
follow-up
one
there.
thing to I see the person is saying that they don't find the component in the feature manager. They might only be available if you're on a QTC license, on a Qlik Talend Cloud license, which includes QTC pipelines and Talend Studio.
Mm-hmm.
The AI components might only be available with QTC licenses. If you are on a Talend Cloud license, that might not be available.
You could always reach out to your account manager as well to ask those
Yeah.
questions to get some more details about what's possible to meet your needs. Well, there's no more questions coming in at the moment, so I appreciate everyone joining and all these great questions. Thank you so much to this panel, everybody, for joining, and I hope you all have a great rest of your day. Thanks, everybody.